In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. May all thanks be to Allah, Lord of all, and may Allah the Almighty bestow His peace and blessing on our Prophet Muhammad, the last and the Imam of all messengers, the mercy to the worlds, and upon his kind and pure kin, and his loyal companions, and all who follow till Judgment Day. Furthermore, my dear viewers, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you, and I welcome you to this new episode in the realm of the Holy Quran. This holy book that Allah the Almighty made of guidance and mercy, and in it placed all the signs of the Almighty's existence and the signs of the prophecy of our Prophet Muhammad, may peace and prayers and blessings be upon him, and his honest kin. For today's episode, I have chosen an interesting subject. A subject that should not be left out while we are doing these episodes, and should be given the appropriate attention about its general meanings and features. Yes, this subject is the subject of the scientific miracles of the Holy Quran. And I want to say that this is a new name for it. A name forced or derived from the reality we live in nowadays, and was necessary or dictated by the stage of the vast scientific knowledge and discoveries of man and the universe, a knowledge Allah the Almighty knows best. And I like to affirm here that scientific miracles of the Holy Quran should be regarded a means with which we can address the West with, and address with it non-Muslims and non-Arabs. Yes, we should not nowadays challenge the West with the language of the Holy Quran, especially that they do not speak the language of the Holy Quran. They do not know the Arabic tongue. We should challenge them in what they are good at, of these sciences, cosmic and else. Yes, I say if I was a physician, I cannot challenge an engineer with science, because I know nothing about it. And if I was an engineer, I cannot challenge a physician, because it is not sane and does not make sense for an engineer to challenge a physician in what he is best at, meaning being of medical background. A challenge or a discussion should revolve around common grounds and mutual knowledge, acquired by both rivals, meaning that both challenging parties should be fit to go head in head. The Holy Quran was sent down with a clear, understandable Arabic tongue. Allah Almighty says, "And we sent not a messenger except with the language of his people." Yes, and this matter needs explanation, because I have read a few years back an article that was published in a newspaper where the writer alleges that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was sent to Arabs only. And he cited the following verse for his claim. Allah Almighty says, "And we sent not a messenger except with the language of his people." And he said, because the Quran was sent with a clear Arabic tongue, it cannot be a message for the worlds, because the world, or worlds, are many ethnicities and nationalities of many colors, and differ in so many things, in races, in beliefs, in directions, interests, in all fields. So it is not possible to say that the Quran was sent down in Arabic, be a message and a declaration for all, with the many differences that are present in these nations. That was what the article concluded. This is the allegation that sparked up in his mind, because of a shortcoming of his understanding of the holy text. Allah Almighty says, "And we sent not a messenger except with the language of his people." Allah did not say in the tongue of his nation. Allah said in the tongue of his people, and the Holy Quran is included in the meaning of this verse. Better yet, the Holy Quran was sent down in the tongue of the Arabs, the people of the Prophet, peace and prayers and blessings be upon him. But as for the nation, Allah the Almighty has given this nation scholars who would translate the Holy Quran in every language. So now you would find translations of the holy verses and their beautiful meanings and shorter explanations in several languages. So how could that writer have such an understanding when there is a clear Quran verse stating the comprehensiveness of his message, peace and prayers and blessings be upon him? What value in such understanding to the verse? Allah Almighty says, "And we sent not a messenger except with the language of his people." Next to what the Almighty says in the other verse, Allah Almighty says, "And we have not sent you except as a giver of glad tidings and warner to all mankind." The other verse stops not the verse, but surely would stop such crooked understanding. So, such understanding is not of value with the presence of the other text that clearly shows that the message of the Prophet, peace and prayers and blessings be upon him, is a comprehensive one to all worlds. Allah Almighty says, "And we have not sent you except as a giver of glad tidings and warner to all mankind." So it is not appropriate for me or anyone else to challenge the West with the language of the Quran, or challenge the American society saying, "Bring forth a verse such as that of the Holy Quran." That would be insane, illogical, and almost a hallucination. Tasteless and a repulsive thought altogether. But the challenge to the West should be limited today in something that they are good at, and they are advanced in, and in what they know best, and what they have the lead in. This is Allah Almighty's wisdom, to make these people have a lead in this avenue and in these fields. I was asked once, why did not the Almighty write to this Islamic nation to lead in discovering the secrets of this universe? Why? I say, that is how civilizations exchange places. Even in these times of weakness, Allah Almighty has sufficed us and nourished us with the verses of the Holy Quran. Allah Almighty says, "And if we had sent this as a Quran in foreign language, they would have said, why are not its verses explained in detail? What? Not in Arabic and in Arab? Say, it is for those who believe a guide and a healing, and those who disbelieve. There is heavens in their ears, and it is blindness. For them they are those who are called from a place far away." We were called from a near place by the verses of the Holy Quran from the Almighty. But them, they were called from a remote place after they pioneered the cosmos and stood upon such a great scientific fact, knowledge and discoveries. Discoveries that were not easily ready for mankind before so. That is why the challenge was raised to those who came later. For them, Allah has given them the reasons and means to know and conquer the scientific facts. And this kind of challenge was not raised to early Muslims when such sciences were not known. I say, if the Almighty, the All-Knowing, All-Wise had given this scientific knowledge to those and the time of revelation, then who ever came later will not have proof on the truthfulness of the message, specifically in this part, meaning for time. So if the sending down of the Holy Quran was timed with these scientific discoveries, then we would not be sure of the scientific miracles of the Holy Quran, because we would be late. We would not know which was known first. We would not know which was known first. The facts, as stated in the holy verses, were they first or the scientific discoveries? But why was it so late until our time? There was no way to deny or refute this fact. The fact that Allah the Almighty said, "We will make it clear to them. We will make it clear to them, to you. You have lived at the time of the revelation, but to them," meaning who will come in the future. So, the Almighty said to them, in third-person form, "We will show them our signs in the universe, and in their own selves until it become manifest that this is the truth." I leave you for a short break, and we will continue about the subject right after the break, God willing. Before I go on explaining the subject, I want to unveil the truth about an allegation that is believed by some about the concept of the scientific miracle in the Holy Quran. Some think that the miraculous Quran verses in regard to science is limited to what humans discover or find out. And I say this is totally false, because the knowledge of the Almighty is unlimited. So I say the scientific miracle of the Holy Quran is that of the Almighty, not that of the humans. So, all these facts are of the Quran, because why would it be miraculous if modern science proves some of the facts that the Holy Quran taught us 1400 years ago? So, the real meaning that is meant by the scientific miracle of the Holy Quran is the ancient knowledge of Allah the Almighty, not the knowledge of the humans that is subject to trial and error and may or may not succeed. This is the miracle that the Prophet, peace and praise be upon him, pointed out to, or was pointed out to by the holy verses. When I read Allah's words in Surah Hud, Allah Almighty says, "So perchance you may give up a part of what revealed unto you, and that your breast feels straitened for it." I asked myself, what about this speech from the Almighty? What is in this speech? Your breast feels straitened for it. Meaning, how would the soul of the Prophet, peace and praise be upon him, feel so about some of what may be sent down unto him? So I said I should look to the following verse that comes after it. So I read and I found the following verse that read, Allah Almighty says, "Or they say he forged it." Here the speech is about the Quran. Allah Almighty says, "Or they say he forged it." Here the speech is about the Quran. Allah Almighty says, "Or they say he forged it." Say, "Bring you then, bring 10 forged chapters like unto it, and call whomsoever you can, other than Allah. If then they answer you not, know then that it is sent down with the knowledge of Allah." This is a strange turning of the sentence form. The speech in this verse, Allah Almighty says, "Or they say he forged it." The order is directed to the Prophet, peace and praise be upon him here. But then it changed. Say, "Bring." Why did the Almighty change the form of the sentence from addressing the Prophet, peace and praise be upon him, to addressing all others? Allah Almighty said, "If they answer not to the believers," and did not say, "If they answer not to you, Muhammad, peace be upon him." I say that the speech was directed to the believers. I say to the latter believers, so it would be clear that the speech was directed to us in this age of scientific advancement. So if they answer you not, meaning the believers who came in these times, then you should know that this book was sent down with the knowledge of the Almighty. Meaning carrying secrets that only Allah the Almighty knows of, and carrying knowledge of the coming times that was only discovered recently. What was sent down with the knowledge of Allah Almighty? And there is not God but He. What do we wait for when we address the West? When we speak to them with this language of the miracle of the Quran, what do we wait for? We wait for them to become Muslims, and the result was clearly stated. If they answer you not, Allah Almighty says, know then that it is sent down with the knowledge of Allah, and that none has the right to be worshipped but He. Will you then be Muslims? Allah Almighty could have said, so would you have faith? Or Allah Almighty could have said, so would you believe? But the Almighty said the word that point out to what awaits the world of people, embracing Islam and entering in groups in Allah's religion. So, by pondering in these great secrets, will you then be Muslims? For that I linked between two verses. So perchance you may give up a part of what is revealed unto you, and your breast feels straitened for it. I think that his chest or breast, peace be upon him, would feel straitened for the reason of people belying him, because he may have thought, the Prophet, peace and prayers and blessings be upon him, may have thought when these verses were sent down unto him, he may have worried that it may be a reason for his people not to believe, because their minds would not understand it, and because they did not have the means and the knowledge to forecast it. So when you address a group of people who do not have the means to understand, This challenges them, and this will prevent them from looking deeply into matter, and also prevent them from understanding what is intended. For that I linked between these two meanings, and between what the Almighty said in the opening of Surah Al-A'raf. When I looked into it, I found that in the order of the revelation, not the order of the arrangement in the Holy Quran. There are two orders. One order or arrangement of the Holy Quran is dependent on the order of the verses in the Holy Quran, and an order is dependent on the time the verses were revealed. Surah Al-A'raf was revealed after Surah Sad, which was concluded by the verse that Allah Almighty said, "And it is a reminder for all the mankind and jinn." See what Allah says, all mankind and jinn, meaning all worlds, the first and last of this nation. Allah Almighty says, "And it is a reminder for all the mankind and jinn, and you shall certainly know the truth." This holy verse, "and you shall certainly know the truth of it after a while," Allah Almighty says, points out to these miraculous discoveries that will take place. The Surah Al-A'raf said in its beginning, Allah Almighty says, Alif Lam Mim Sad, book sent down unto you, so let not your breast be narrow. Therefrom that you warn thereby, and a reminder unto you, the believers. Allah Almighty says, so let not your breast be narrow therefrom. And this is like the other verse. Allah Almighty says, so perchance you may give up a part of what is revealed unto you, and your breast feels straightened unto you. And it points out to what was said before, and you shall certainly know the truth of it after a while, Allah Almighty says. That came before the beginning of Surah Al-A'raf. Allah the Almighty says about His Prophet, may peace and prayers and blessings be upon him. Allah Almighty says, have we not opened your breast for you? And Allah Almighty says, so let not your breast be narrow therefrom. Allah Almighty also says, have we not opened your breast for you? Allah Almighty says, book sent down unto you, so let not your breast be narrow therefrom. Meaning, rest assured, Muhammad, we did not send down these verses unto you to test your people, but we pointed out these facts, so that in the future some will find these signs, and when they have the means and reasons, they will understand. Meaning, the companions received this Quran and they did not have any problem with the verse. Allah Almighty says, He makes the night to go in the day. But for us today, the Holy Quran is not a book of scientific facts. So it was not sent down to tell us the earth is round. Because the Quran is not a book of scientific theories. But it is a revelation from the Almighty. So, the proof is embedded in the wording and is for us to find. Allah Almighty says, He makes the night to go in the day and makes the day to go in the night. So, when the latter scholars came and looked into this verse, they knew from that the verse pointed out to the roundness of the globe. Allah Almighty says, He makes the night to go in the day and makes the day to go in the night. My dear viewer, this is a great miraculous matter. Allah Almighty did not say the earth was round. If this was said then, that the earth was round, the minds of people would have not believed it. To see flat terrain, they would have said, flat land, not round. Flat land, not round. And you are speaking about a round globe. This would have been impossible. This is enough for now, and we will have a continuation about these subjects, insha'Allah, in our next episode. And may Allah bestow His peace and blessings upon Muhammad and his kin and companions.